calling, please tell Miss Deborah that I said hello and thank you, and may God bless your union. You guys are such a beacon of light to the community that you're in. So if no one else has told you, I will tell you thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, I have to add something. I think that the reason there's so many divorces is that people expect that high to last, and that's that high that you mentioned, and that infatuation, and that's not reality. And so they meet someone else, and suddenly that high, they shoot up on that high again, and wow, here it is. That's what I had before when I first met my wife, and oh wow, I got it again. And it is a real high, you know, you can't get off the phone, you just talk for hours, and you meet someone, and there that is, and it's not reality, and you get divorced, and you're seeking that high again, and then people have multiple marriages seeking that high again, seeking that high, and this happens a lot in Hollywood relationships because you're on a set with someone and making a movie. That can be very romantic in a situation like that, but that's not reality in life. Life doesn't function like that, and I think that's the problem, is that I think there's a distorted image of love, and I think that's what happens. And you go into that situation, and suddenly the high wears off, and you're down again to reality. You're dealing with reality. But if you understand it, reality can be beautiful.
Right, I agree with you. My whole problem is like, how do we fix that? Because I'm one of those people. I have a serious distorted image of what love is. Not so much anymore, but yeah, I would love for that high to last all the time. And I think that for people who don't have parents who are married, or aunts and uncles or grandparents, or even, friends who are married, to really see what the reality is, you don't know what it is. Your barometer is broken. So trying to navigate a relationship with a broken barometer, you really can't. So I think that is a huge issue for a lot of us, especially the younger generation, is that you don't have those examples, so you don't really know what a real marriage is, and you do what feels good, and feeling good is that high. So until someone is able to grab you and say, hey, listen, this is just not what it is. You can't get married and get divorced, or relationship jump just to get that 1-2 year high. That's not reality. You need to settle down and deal with some of the nitty gritty that comes with it. Even when you're not in a high point, it's still beautiful. There's beauty in so many nooks and crevices of your marriage, but you'll never get to that. And I think without examples, it's just really difficult for people to even know that that's what it is. So I don't know how to fix that.
And I think too that there are so many people who have fallen in love with the image of love and how it's supposed to be, that they don't think about the times that there are going to be problems, and we don't want to have to work through problems. We want to have everything as we want it right now all the time, and we have to be able to learn how to adjust whenever things don't go your way, and be able to say, okay, this is not going right now the way I want it, but I'll work through it. And it seems like these days people don't want to take the time. They want to just give up right away. I need somebody else.
Right. So it's interesting that you said that you have to learn that, but who's going to teach them? Like, if you have no teachers, who will teach you that? It's not like relationship training 101 is something that we get in school. And unfortunately now, with a lot of single parent households, not only single parent households, but young, very single parent households, it's like, where are these people going to get that image from? And I think that it's difficult being a young couple trying to navigate, or just being a young person, not even in a couple, because you don't even know what you're looking for to say that this is what you want. And I think that's an issue now, which is, the images in the media, I think they can be so hurtful, especially when you don't have anything to counterbalance them. Like, your children have seen their parents' relationship, and all three are married. So they have somewhat of a guide, even though every relationship is different. I'm sure at some point in time they can look back and see, you know what, okay, my mom might have handled this way, or my dad might have handled this way, or I've seen what this looks like, and let me take some time out, and then revisit the situation. And then, the same on your side is, Al, your parents were married, yes?
Well, they weren't married, but I did grow up in a household with them in a household. One thing I did want to add, it's that the I think why your marriage may have lasted so long, because it's a commitment. You guys are committed to make that work, no matter if you go through the rough patches, because the rough patches are going to happen. That's just, like you said, it's unrealistic to not think that's going to happen. But if you are committed to each other, no matter what, nothing should make you feel like, I'm going to walk away from this wholly. I don't want to do this anymore. You shouldn't feel that way, especially when you take vows to that person. Depending on whatever your vows were, some vows are different. And me, I'm just that kind of person. If I'm gonna go in something, I'm gonna go in all. I'm gonna go in all for it. And I know that it's not gonna be all roses, but you have to be committed, to making it work. And some people don't have that sense of commitment.
Understood. Yeah, I think those are all great points. And, again, I will keep reiterating that's the reason why I wanted to do this show, because I just think it's important, for people to see that there are happy marriages that do exist. Like, every time I hear 49% of black women are single, like, it just makes my skin crawl. Because even if that was true, which I did some research, and it's not, but I couldn't get the correct number. There were several different numbers. None of them were 49% at all. But even if that was true, then that means 51% are married. That's the bigger number. That's the majority. So why not focus on the positive instead of highlighting the negative? And I think that we just really have to find a way, to pull up and embrace people. Like, if you see a younger couple, talk to them. Let them know that, everything may not be okay all the time, but in the long run, it's going to be okay. And I just wish that there was more of that in the media. I have seen, I don't remember the exact website. I want to say that it's called Black and Married with Children. They have a website where it's marriage advice, and, it's all positive images of I shouldn't say positive, I should say real images of the black families, because when you have images that are too positive, that's not necessarily realistic either. So I would say real images, and I think that's important, because with such a lack of, it's like, where do you get the guidance from? Like, I've learned so much, just from speaking to the married people. I'm telling you, that study that I did 2 years ago was so eye-opening. I didn't even know what to do with myself.
I'd like to add one thing, and I suppose I'm old-fashioned, or use the term old school, about marriage. When people say, marriage is declining and you can be together without being married, there's something about, anything, you have a contract with someone, you say, well, we don't have to make it official. There's something about signing on the dotted line and saying, I'm into this to the point that I'll sign a contract. I love you so much, and this is real, so I'll sign the contract. There's something about saying we don't need a contract. It's cool without the contract. There's something about that when you say I'm into this to the point that we'll do a contract. It's something official. It's
a real commitment.
Yes.
Because without, it doesn't matter what you say, and I love hearing people's excuses. Well, marriage doesn't define us, and we don't need. At the end of the day, it's just not a real commitment. It's not a legal commitment.
Yes.
If we've been together for 10 years, no matter how happily in love we are, if we are not married, that means at either point in time, either one of us could walk out the door with no consequences.
Right.
Like, when you are married, when you sign that contract, it is saying, I am in it, and if I leave, there is going to be consequences for that. So yes, I think marriage is important, and it makes me sad to hear people say that, the institution of marriage is dead, or marriage is not important. And, I think sometimes I think it's through hurt. that a lot of us, and I will say us because I am a single woman, like to declare our independence. Well, we don't need men and we don't do this. No, we're only saying that because we don't have one. Because if we had one, we wouldn't be out there tooting the horn. It's like the same people who, wave the, oh, I'm a big girl, I'm a thick girl flag until they hit Jenny Craig. Then it's like, you're always promoting something until you have what it is, that you wanted but couldn't get, and then you switch sides. So I think you're right. I think it's important. I think that marriage is important, and if you are with someone, you should be married, because it is that contract saying that I am going to be with you, I'm going to make it official, I'm willing to do it in the eyes of God and in front of the law, and I'm going to give you my last name. And I wish I should call my sister, because it takes her to scream and yell. One of her pet peeves is people who do not take their husband's last name. And I think that is hilarious. I think the only reason for that is obviously if you're like a Trump or something, then, maybe you might want to keep that last name. But other than that, take your husband's last name. We're going to commercial. That is my Beyonce music, which I requested because I love Beyonce. So please continue to listen. If you want to give us a call us at 312-754-4333. You're listening to The World According to Phnewfula on UBM Talk.